Hey everybody, so I just finished my ride from Courtenay to Nanaimo, British Columbia, and including the times I got lost and had to backtrack, it turned out to be around 70 miles or 112 kilometers. So the night before my ride, Marley drove me up to Courtenay, BC in her truck and dropped me off at a campsite, actually smack in the middle of town. Unfortunately, it was pouring rain when we got there, and it was just really unpleasant and cold and gray and dark. So I actually had to keep my bike inside with me as I slept that night, which is pretty funny. The next morning I woke up with the sun, had a breakfast of bananas and a raw vegan food bar, and packed up my tent. My original intention was to spend the night at the campground and then the next morning mail the tent and my blanket back to Portland, so I didn't have to ride the 70 miles with it strapped to my back. I went for a ride across Courtenay to the post office, and when I arrived I found that the Canadian Union of Postal Workers were locked out of their offices. We chatted for a while and then they told me that the entire country's postal service was completely shut down. No mail was being sent across Canada anywhere. So unfortunately for me, it was looking like I was going to have to ride back to Nanaimo with a 10-pound tent strapped to my back, in addition to the giant backpack that I was carrying already. I was not looking forward to that at all. For about 10 or 15 miles, I rode with that tent strapped to my back, and after much deliberation and some mounting back pain, I had to make the difficult decision to leave it behind. And since I was in the middle of nowhere, at this point, I propped it up on a wall on the side of the road, hoping that someone would stop and pick it up. I made it to Qualicum Beach at about noon, which is somewhat of a halfway point. I hung out on a park bench and had my lunch, and just got to hang out on the beach. Just incredibly beautiful, long, sandy beaches at Qualicum. But I didn't stay for too long because generally, if I don't stay in biking mode, I start to run out of steam really quickly. I get too comfortable and I start to fall asleep, or it's more difficult to get back up and get back on the bike. I rode through a few more towns, actually several towns, and then I got to Parksville, which is just one town over from Nanaimo. But once I crossed over, I was still about 30 kilometers away from Nanaimo at this point, and I could feel the ride finally taking its toll on me. I started to get really tired, low on energy. And after about 7 hours of riding down the coast in the hot sun, I finally spotted the Nanaimo sign up and over the horizon. I felt really relieved at that point. I was exhausted and maybe mildly delirious at that time, and it just felt so great to know that I had accomplished that. So now that I've done the ride, I'd like to ask again for people to please consider donating to our campaign. What we intend to do is not only go back to Japan and document the slaughter and release the photos and the videos, but also do some other investigations that could potentially get information that would probably be key to ending the cetacean slaughter in Japan. The next ride I'll be doing is going to be a lot longer. I'm going to be riding from Seattle, Washington to Portland, Oregon, which is about 200 miles. I expect it to take several days, and I'll keep you posted on when that's going to be happening. So I'll just sign off by saying, keep fighting for the earth, keep fighting for all animals worldwide, keep working towards a compassionate world, and oh yeah, go vegan. Thank you.